Today, we're diving into one of the most important topics for those who closely follow our team, the Commanders' defensive tactics against the Buccaneers' offense. I'll tell you right off the bat, this game promises much more than just points on the scoreboard. We'll talk about schemes, strategies, and how the coaching staff is preparing our team to surprise the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend. But stick with me, because in every minute of this video, we'll break down how this match could be decisive for our season. And don't forget, in our last news of the day, I'll tell you all about the Commanders' possible secret weapon. Now, before we start, I'm going to ask you one thing. Subscribe to the channel. It costs nothing, and this way you ensure you won't miss any updates about our team. And leave a like too, because it helps our fan community grow even more. Ready to understand how our defense will handle the Buccaneers' offense? To begin with, let's remember that in American football, the basic concept is simple. Score more points than your opponent. But the truth is that the game goes far beyond that. The Commanders this season have something special. An extremely organized defense ready to respond to the most complicated challenges. When we talk about the Buccaneers, we're talking about a team with a dynamic offense, but one that also has its weaknesses. And that's where our advantage comes in. Our defensive coordinator has the task of understanding every movement, every personality trait of the opposing team. This is because, in the end, it's the detailed study of how the opposing offense works that will allow our defense to anticipate and block plays that could put us in trouble. It's that old maxim, know your enemy, and the battle is half won. The question is, are the Buccaneers ready for what the Washington Commanders defense has prepared? The cool thing about following the NFL closely is that you notice how teams adjust throughout the season. At the beginning, the lack of detailed information about the Commanders' roster is an advantage because opponents like the Buccaneers don't have as much material to study yet. This means that Washington's defense can exploit this gap to bring something different and unexpected to the field. And who doesn't like to see the opponent a bit lost, not knowing exactly what's coming, right? The Buccaneers' offensive coordinator, Cohen, is a smart guy and has already stated that he's aware of the Commanders' coach's personality traits. He knows the game will be a true battle of strategies. According to Cohen, he's preparing the team to face one of the most man-coverage-oriented defenses in the league. But will his plan work? I have my doubts, and I'll explain why. One of the key points of this Washington defense is the ability to adapt plays according to the situation. If the Buccaneers' offense tries to force a game more focused on man coverage, our defense already has solutions for that. It could be a zone coverage disguised as man, or even a strategic blitz to pressure the quarterback before he has time to make decisions. Flexibility is what makes this defense so dangerous. And speaking of blitzes, did you know that the so-called fire zones are one of the Commanders' secret weapons? They mix pressure on the defensive line with a well-adjusted zone coverage, which often looks like man coverage. It sounds confusing, but that's what makes this scheme so efficient, the ability to confuse the opposing offense. And when it comes to confusion, few teams can handle it as well as the Washington Commanders. Another important point is that this defense is not the same as last year's. Our team is constantly evolving, and this also means that plays that worked before may have changed. The coaches know that there's no point in insisting on a fixed scheme if the available players have other skills that can be exploited. As Witt himself said during the preseason, this is the player's game. He's 100% right, and what he means by that is that the scheme has to be adjusted to get the best out of the athletes on the field. And when it comes to adjusting the scheme, one thing is certain, the Commanders are not stuck with a single style of play. If in Dallas, for example, the coaches were known for a more aggressive approach, here in Washington they know that each player has their particularities, and that's what makes our defense unpredictable. The opponent never knows exactly how we're going to behave, which, let's face it, is the best way to stay ahead on the scoreboard. So, fans, we're facing a big game. And honestly, I have to ask you, will the Commanders' defense be able to neutralize the Buccaneers' offense with this flexible and unpredictable strategy? What do you think? It's going to be a clash of titans, no doubt about it, but I'm confident that we're prepared for this battle. Now, I'm going to tell you a story that could completely change our team's 2024 season. A key player being prepared behind the scenes who could be the surprise we've all been waiting for. Have you heard of McCaffrey? Well, his name isn't in the headlines yet, but trust me, that's about to change. Stay until the end of this video because you'll want to know everything about this secret weapon that could explode in the NFL at any moment. What we know so far is that the Commanders are ready to make big changes to their offense in 2024. After a disappointing season where Eric Bieniemy, who came from the Kansas City Chiefs with high expectations, couldn't deliver what he promised, the pressure is sky high. And look, everyone's eyeing the offense. We need to improve, and that's no secret. What's new here is that the solution might not be where most people are looking, and that's where Luke McCaffrey comes in. This guy was picked in the 3rd round of the 2024 draft, and if you haven't heard much about him yet, it's because the Commanders are playing a strategy that could leave many people speechless. McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother, is one of those players who stay kind of hidden during the preseason, but can be unleashed as a real trump card at the right time. In other words, our offense might have a new face, and he's coming in stealthily to surprise everyone. One of the clues that the Commanders are confident in this new weapon was the trade of Jahan Dotson to the Philadelphia Eagles. People were surprised by this trade, but it only shows how much our GM, Adam Peters, trusts the group of wide receivers he has at his disposal. It's like that risky play in Madden, you know? You bet it all, and if it works out, you come out looking like a genius. And that's what Peters is betting on, that McCaffrey could be that piece no one saw coming. Now, what can we expect from Luke McCaffrey? Can he be compared to the Texans' Tank Dell? Matthew Berry from NBC Sports recently talked about this on the Dan Le Batard show, and he believes so. Sure, he might not explode right off the bat with the numbers Dell achieved, but there's confidence that McCaffrey will have a significant impact. And that, folks, is music to our ears, because who doesn't want to see our offense truly functioning again? But hold on, let's be realistic too. Asking McCaffrey to already reach Dell's level might be a bit much, right? The guy is skilled, has excellent route control and sure hands, but he still only has 2 seasons of experience as a wide receiver. In other words, he has a lot to learn, and the NFL is not a league that forgives mistakes. We know that. But at the same time, it's undeniable that the potential is there, and he comes from a family that has already given big names to the league. This puts extra pressure on him, but it also gives that taste that something special is on the way. And if there's one thing that gets the fans excited, it's seeing a new player with potential, knowing that he's being prepared behind the scenes to be our secret weapon. That's what's happening with McCaffrey. He has that impeccable work ethic, always looking to improve, and this might make the coach decide to unleash the kid right from the start of the season. Will we see this in the season opener? Well, I wouldn't doubt it at all, and I, as a fan, am already preparing to see the kid shine. The team's depth chart also gives some interesting clues. If we look closely, we can see that there are many opportunities waiting for McCaffrey. The Commanders decided not to go after Brandon Ayuk this offseason, and that can only mean one thing. They're ready to trust who's already on the roster, and with Dotson out, the path is clear for McCaffrey. He just needs to seize this chance and not let go. Of course, none of this is guaranteed. Football is unpredictable, and we've seen many promises get lost along the way. But the feeling is that, if everything goes right, McCaffrey could be that surprise that will put our offense back on track. Will he be able to take on this prominent role and make his mark in the NFL in his very first year? First, it's important to understand that McCaffrey isn't just a talented player, he's a versatile athlete. He started his college career as a quarterback, which already shows his game-reading ability and tactical intelligence. When he made the transition to wide receiver, it was because he had the necessary athletic ability to do so. Not everyone can change positions and still be productive at such a high level. This gives us an indication that, with the right coaching, McCaffrey can learn quickly and adapt even more. Moreover, something that might go unnoticed by many is that he has a genetic advantage. Coming from a family that breathes football, with Christian McCaffrey being one of the best running backs in the NFL, he has a support base and knowledge at home that few players have. This makes a huge difference in mental preparation and how he faces challenges. Another point we can't ignore is the impact McCaffrey's arrival can have on other players on the roster. When you bring in new talent, especially someone who could be a secret weapon, it increases competition. We can expect other Commanders' wide receivers to also elevate their game, wanting to secure their starting spot. And this only improves our offense as a whole. Now, to wrap up, I want to know from you, what do you think about the Commanders' bet on Luke McCaffrey? Will he really become the secret weapon we've been waiting for, or is this just a risky move by Adam Peters? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know your opinion. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel because the season looks promising and we're going to follow every detail together.